Okay, this lesson for the KOINE Project class will discuss Jesus' attitude toward those who believed, and then how he would respond when, because of something they should believe, they refused to, and what was Jesus' response. So I recall all the way back to a Charles Templeton, who was actually a forerunner to the late Dr. Billy Graham, and of course Charles Templeton is gone on to be with the Lord, and until, let's say, a Dan Barker, who actually founded the Clergy Project, who now constantly insists that he was a true believer, but now he's an atheist, and he lectures at the Oxford Union, and we'll just see. But so let's take what they say and let's acknowledge what the Bible says about even his own disciples, and see what Jesus said in his attitude in Mark 16:14. So we have, for those of you in the KOINE Project class, we'll go through the KOINE and word it out. And you can fast forward if you just want conclusions afterward. Histerion on Kaimenois. On a Kaimenois, while dining, Altois, to them, toys. That's nice, where we have that back to back. To the Endeca, the 11 disciples. He was manifested he was manifested to the 11, his message. And here's what he did. And ne descend, se, removable knee, he, this is aorist indicative, he reproached tain the pistion. Notice that's a noun. This is unbelief. There's that alpha privative, which in meaning is without and in function negates. So here's their unbelief. It's a noun. It's not here an adjective. Speaking of them as unfaithful, but here's the unbelief, autone of them, of them. So it was their particular unbelief, and we have a Granville Sharp Chi. That is, now here's insight from Christ as to the condition of his disciples, and also something we could refer to if we were debating or confronting or witnessing or even in a dialogue with a Dan Barker or other former clergy who claim to be true believers, but now they don't believe anymore. That is, here's the condition, sklei, rho, cardion. Notice that matches this. We have the definite article followed by conjoined. So articular noun followed conjoined with an arthrous subsequent to chi. So the hard-heartedness Dan Barker, I think I'll put the link to the video where he even said, just go into a children's hospital and you'll know there's no God. Now, that had never occurred to me, knowing that it was the compassion of God's people that led them to help and to promote hospitals, medical systems. I live here in an area where the most famous medical system, the Baptist medical system, is here in Arkansas, prominent, and many things they do in providing what others can't afford. So to notice his hard-heartedness when he went in. Instead of him being moved to help, to minister, to pray, to be broken by it, he admits that he just made a flippant conclusion. Hard-heartedness. Let me see. Because, I have to word this out. I'm freehanding it, but it's what we need to do for our discipline. Because twice in the ones thea somnois. Now notice we have this a lot. Ois, ois, ois. So it's very consistent, easy to stay with the flow here. Because in the ones who beheld him, auton, that's him, beheld him. And here's how they beheld him. Egegerminon. This is a perfect passive participle as, okay, so they observed him having been raised, and of course, and remaining raised. And of course, he's now confronting them personally after having been raised and remaining, beheld him in the ones who beheld him. It says, uk not. And then we have this word, pistu son, they, arist, saman sate son, they, plural, they believed. So they refused to believe, and I'll get out of the way for a moment and let you see the board. It's free-handed, so we can go back and check. But you notice they're dining. He appears to them, the 11 disciples specifically, when he was manifested. And look what he said concerning. And you remember in the same gospel, the religious believers, or religious leaders, I should say, were carefully attending alongside him on the Sabbath, since it was a determined condition that he would heal a particular person, the man with the withered hand, and they were carefully attending alongside so that they might categorize. That's the Greek word from which we get our English word accuse him. So Jesus was predictable. He would be moved with compassion, be led to help and heal and restore people on the Sabbath day, to do for people what was not being done, even like if the Pharisees, let's say, they couldn't heal, they certainly weren't helping. They weren't coming alongside people. They weren't helping the man by the pool of Bethesda. They weren't lifting him or helping him into the water. They weren't helping the widow who was stooped over. They weren't helping compensate for the lady with the issue of blood who had already used all of her life sustenance. So this is Jesus' attitude towards someone. So if Dan Barker, let's say, who's still, I believe he's still alive, and he's out making his lectures and promoting his books, and Richard Dawkins, and he's aligned with them and speaks at the Oxford Union. He doesn't deny, he insists adamantly that he was a true believer and how he would preach and witness to people directly. Well, this could happen, and again, I'm always alarmed by the reality that what Jesus said about if the salt loses its savor, it's good for nothing, it's cast away. Paul was concerned not to be a castaway. He wanted to remain useful. We should always be guarding our hearts, especially toward hard-heartedness, because look what it cost others. As now Dan Barker, whatever it is that drives him now, seems to be more formidable to go out and dissuade, instill doubt, promote insecurity and uncertainty. He seems more devoted to that than he was to what would call for a tender heart of compassion, a willingness to help, to show favor and come alongside and give people certainty, hope, confidence, and assurance. So this is a good lesson, and just review it. But this is Jesus' attitude toward those like the members of the Clergy Project and others who said they once believed and now they don't. And if they truly did, as they say, and they insist they did, this can happen, and this could be one of the core or chief root of the matter that we see Jesus disclose. But notice his own disciples refused to believe, and the ones who actually beheld Jesus having been raised and remaining raised. So you have a blessed day. Enjoy this lesson.